time to improve on the able examples. So what I've did so far off screen is I've created two blend spaces, one that is for strafe walking, one that is 1D blend space for direction walking, and both of those are just set up in the standard way that we always set up things. Also made some very small adjustment to the AGR general core anim blueprint. So for example, in the event graph, I've added a new variable which is called strafe walking, which is just if our turn rotation is not rotate to movement, because if we are rotating to movement, we're not strafe walking. Any other turn rate means we are strafe walking. So we are using this as well, and inside this absolutely very standard subgraph, we have just two poses, and in this movement pose we have a by strafe walking blend pose by boolean, and oh yeah, let's change it to inertialization. Okay, and we need also an in air pose. So let's go into insane air combo, animations, and let's see, we just want an air loop, we don't want attacks. Okay, jump loop. So we'll use this one. Let's see how it looks like. It looks fine. Okay. So what we've changed in the character himself is not much. We just changed this pose to base insane, and in our core anim graph, we made a new base pose which is called insane, and it is set up exactly like any other. It's just a subgraph that is just using this one new variable strafe walking, and that's it. So nothing new, nothing that wasn't covered by the tutorials already. So what else we'll do now that we are walking 320 and sprinting, let's say 500. Okay, depending of if we are sprinting or not, we will do one more thing. We'll take our animation master component and set up turn rotation and change it. So it will be 360, 95, 95. It's actually irrelevant for this example, but if we are sprinting through, then we'll change our turn speed, turn rotation type to rotation to movement, and if we are not, we'll go back to whatever we have here. So we have okay, so this is default. So let's change that to desired rotation at angle, and we'll do here as well desired rotation at angle, and let's see how it looks like. Okay. Oh, yeah, of course. So now we are strafe walking. And we are sprinting, we are not strafe walking anymore. Okay, so that works, but our footsteps are incredibly loud, which I found out in the previous video that it was louder than me speaking. So let's change the volume multiplier to 0.35 maybe something like that. Let's see. Okay, that's a lot better. Okay. And we can start working on our abilities that will be combat abilities. So let's change one more thing. Let's actually yeah, let's leave it as is for now. And let's do, what should we do first? Let's maybe do an attack. So we'll need definitely a weapon. So we will need to go into our mesh. Okay, there is a sword. And we'll just add a component. It's a static mesh sword, no problem there. We've added the sword, and the sword socket is, I have no idea what's it called, so let's find it. I'm pretty sure. Okay, I think it was this one. So hand R socket. Let's copy that. And weapon holster. Okay. So let's just get this sword into this socket name. So hand R hand R socket. Okay. Definitely not. Okay, let's turn it by 180, and then let's see. Okay, it's not that bad, but it's still not perfect. And let's change. Oh, stop. Let's change its location. Okay, I need to go up the wrist a bit. So a bit more this way. Okay, that's a lot better. So, okay. Do we have a turn in place animations in this pack? That would be amazing. Let's see. Turn. No. Rotate. No. Ah, that's too bad. Well, fine. We don't have to do a turn in place. But we have a sword now, and we'll be doing some attacks with the sword. So let's set up the first attack. Let's go into examples, abilities, and let's make an ability template, which will be able ability blueprint, which derives from able ability. Okay, and let's call it a attack template. And we'll make finally some tasks, and those tasks will be able to get inherited by the child ability that will be you know, a subclass of this ability. So first of all, we need an animation, and we'll need okay, honestly anything, because once we play it, we can see that it just plays, and the ability length was adjusted to the length of this animation, and it's fine. But we need to change the setup of this. So first of all, we'll make some combo animation montages. That's one thing to do. Okay. I think there's a grounded combo as well. Yeah, there it is. So combo 1. Okay, and it is root motion, which is great. So this is the first attack. Let's make it enable root motion. Um, let's make element montage and let's call it attack A. And now let's get this and this and create any montages, and they will be called attack B, or actually we'll call it attack A2, and the last one will be called attack A3. Okay, we're gonna save them. We're gonna open all three of them, and we'll do a few things. First of all, we're going to do a slot, and the slot will be full body. The second thing we need to do is open the animation and set it as root motion. So let's do here as well. Slot, full body, and then animation. Find it, open, enable root motion. And attack 3 is the same, so slot is full body, and let's open the animation, and let's make it enable root motion. Okay, so we got the first combo, 3 attacks. So in the first ability, why? Oh, okay. In the first ability, we have this play animation, and we'll set this animation to attack A. Okay, and now let's talk about this entire node and what does what. So first of all, this is animation node type, and this is one of the most important things. You can run animation as a single node, which means that you can run here just any animation, and for a split second without any actual blend, it will swap your anim instance, so your animation blueprint, to this single animation, and when this animation plays out, it will swap back to your animation blueprint or whatever animation instance that you have set up in your mesh. Now, I don't know why and when you would want to use single node animation. Maybe when you have an animation that you want to be instant without blend, like I don't know, a volt, a dodge, or something like that, that you want to play it instantly. But the other two types are more important. So ability animation node is something really cool that you can do inside the anim graph itself. However, you can only run it in the anim graph that is directly underneath the anim instance that you're using in your character. So if you have your mesh here and you have this AGR core anim BP, you can only use it in here, but you can use it in any subgraph that you want. So you can go into, for example, base subgraph, and you can have some state, and in this state you can have playability animation, and playability animation can be part of a sync group, and it's being dynamically injected by the active ability or passive ability, but the newest injected one is always playing, just one of them. However, you can run this node in multiple places, because you can have one, for example, here in the base post state machine, and I can have another one here in any of the poses, and I can play ability animation here, and now I have actually two of those nodes. So what happens if I play one animation and then I play another animation? Do they both overwrite? Well, not necessarily, because they can be directly injected per node. And how to do that? You go into this ability, and then you say what's the section and the section is the name of the state machine, as far as I remember. But just in case, I will double check with the documentation, because this is how it was set up previously. So you could specify that, hey, look for this type of node, which is playability animation, but look for it in anim graph and here, whatever this name is. So base pose state machine, for example. You could just base pose state machine. And that would find this particular play animation, and I could have one ability playing something in the base pose and another thing that would be playing something on the overlay pose. So this is another way to do it. And how to move in a state machine, how what to set up here as a how you enter the pose. Well, in event graph you can always get try get pawn owner, and you can get component by class, and this component can be ability component, and from this ability component you can get has ability animation and ability playing. So is ability playing, it returns if the ability component has an active ability playing, and you usually use animations in active abilities, because if you have multiple passive abilities with animations, they will start breaking. The way I usually do it with passive abilities, like for example, I do hit reaction as a passive ability, and we will set it up as well. You create as well montages, and you just make those montages additive, and you play additive montages in a different scene group than the base scene group. And I will show how to set up real soon once we do attacks. And has ability animation returns true when you start playing an animation that is looking for this ability animation node, so you can make a transition state based on this value. However, this value changes from true to false immediately back. So when you start playing animation, this changes to true, and next frame it changes to false. So when you're doing pose, oh okay, I can do it here. Let's go into anim graph. So when you are blending poses by bool, if you try to use it here, you will fail, because it will go to true and it will immediately jump back to false. That's why you need to use state machines, because you can use this transition as when you have animation on ability true, it goes into this state, and you can have automatic rule based on return, and this way when the animation stops playing, it will go back to the previous state, whatever the animation length will be, because different abilities will inject different length of animations, and they can have different blend times as well. However, the most common use that I always do is a dynamic montage, and dynamic montage is extremely powerful node, because first of all, it can take just animation. And from this animation, it will create a montage, just like the in any event graph, you can dynamic mon. How did you do that? Create. Oh, okay. So this is a node that works in anim instance, so we can call it inside here, and we can have an event on any, event graph inside an anim instance, and here you can do a dynamic montage, and you can get an animation, just a normal animation, and you can specify the slot by name. So default group dot full body, for example, and it will play in this slot. And you can specify dynamic blend in, blend out, time loop, and it will create a montage for one use only, and it will actually give us a reference to an anim montage object. And you can just run you can just go montage play, and you can just play this montage as you just set it up. So this is what this node does. You can take any normal animation and you can push it as dynamic montage, and you can specify some values of that dynamic montage here. So you can have the blend in, blend out, and slot name directly here. So it would be default group dot full body. But we will not specify this, we will just ignore those values, because what can also do is we can directly get a montage. And if we get a montage here, it will actually take the values that you have specified in the montage itself. So it will take this blend out, it will take this group, and it will ignore any other settings that we specify here. So we got a lot more control over what this montage will look like and what it will do. So now when we play, it will show us nothing. Okay, yeah. And because it is root motion, we don't really see this character moving, but he will. And yeah, so that's it. We just have an animation, right? And this ability doesn't do anything else for now. So let's run it. So let's go back here to event graph. Let's go into our tutorial, and let's do a left click, left mouse button, and on left mouse button we will do our macro of executability, and the ability that we want to specify is attack template, and that's it, nothing else. Let's play, let's hit, and we are playing our root motion animation. We are turning as we did before, and we can play it multiple times, but you can see I cannot play this animation. Why I'm playing this animation? Why is that? It's very simple, because this is an active ability. An active ability has certain length, and until the ability finishes, I cannot play another ability. However, I can make the ability shorter than the animation itself. I can make the ability length 1 second, and the animation actually takes 167 seconds. So what will hit if I hit mouse 1? The animation will snap back because the ability will end, and once it ends, it snaps back. However, we can stop that by saying that stop on interrupt, no. And now even the ability ends, the animation will continue to play. And it will blend out perfectly. However, now after 1 second, if I click mouse again, I will attack again, and I don't have to wait for the animation to end, and I can do another attack. But let's say that I don't want it to be like this. I want actually this entire ability to be the length of the longest task that we have right here. So we just click resize, and it's back to the animation length. Okay, so what else we can do? We can obviously loop the animation, and we should loop the animation if our ability is looping, so that the animation doesn't have a blend in and blend out every time we enter a loop. If we enter a loop, we trigger all tasks that are in this loop, so we would do this blend in, blend out constantly. Scale with ability play rate. This is a very important feature which is relatively new. It allows you to scale the entire ability including the animation inside, with your implementation of haste rating. So if you are hasted and you, for example, play abilities twice as fast, you can also play animations twice as fast. If you do not want to tick this scale with ability play rate, make sure that you don't stop on interrupt, because the animations will play longer than the ability itself. Then clear key animation on interrupted. Okay, so this is only for the animation node, and it means that it will reset any animations that might be waiting to be played in a slot. You can also specify by hand the length of the animation, and once we do that, okay. So what happens here? Oh, okay, so I can just do it like this now, and I can say when the animation plays, and if I do it like this, it will... Oh, okay, maybe I should save first. Okay, it just makes the task shorter, but does it affect anything else? Oh. Okay, not really sure what this does. And does the animation should play? I didn't see it. Wait. How to reset? Okay. Oh yeah, the preview sometimes breaks severely, to be honest. Okay. Let's go more forward. So timing, start time is obviously what you get here, so you can change it, but we should just leave it at 0 because we want the animation to start playing at the start of the ability itself. The realm is client, but you can also force it to play on server. And then we will change to client and server. We want to play some abilities, some animations on server. If we are using, for example, my combat component, and we are using this precise hit traces, and we will do that here. So we'll actually run this animation on server, but most animations that are not attacks, you don't have to run on dedicated server, but you should run it on server if you're running a local multiplayer. But in order for animations to work on the server, we need to go here into our mesh, and we need to go into it's somewhere here. Skeletal mesh. Oh yeah, it's here. Optimization, and then you have this optimization settings, and what you need to do is change the visibility based anim tick. Now, if you say always tick pose, it will actually only, well, it will not work as we intend on dedicated server. Just trust me on that one. It will update pose very rarely, and you won't get precise hits on animations. What you need to do is always tick pose and refresh bones, because refreshing the pose values doesn't refresh the skeleton pose as a whole. So we had to change that, and now our animations are playing on dedicated server. Okay, what else there is? It's nothing here because we're not using this ability node. Oh, okay, so when we're doing this ability node, this section is something else, because you have state machine name to specify here, and the ability state name, you probably can rename the nodes. So that's what it's for, and you can specify blend in and blend out for this specific animation. But let's go back to dynamic montage. Like I said, I always use dynamic montage whenever I use animations. And play on server. Okay, inheritable. I'm not sure if inherited task can be modified in a child, so let's leave it be for now. Targets, there's just this self target, which is fine. And verbose is a debug that is being not printed on the screen, but it is being printed into our console. So once we tick this and we do an attack and we go into console, we can see that we got all this information about this task that was being performed at tick, and we can see at every millisecond that it's happening. And if it run into any trouble or get stopped, blend out or anything, you would get information on that, and we get a task result success. And it's a bit excessive. We don't need all those information, so we don't need verbose on animation. We might want verbose on some other events. Disabled means that you might, for example, not want to play animation under certain condition, and task color is irrelevant, it's just for this basically. And dynamic properties are, well, we won't use them as well for now, so that's it. So we got this, but we want our animation to be a bit more complex. So first of all, in our graph, we will do, as usual, can ability execute. And from our context, we'll get our instigator, and our instigator is our pawn. And from our pawn, we will get stamina. And we'll make sure that our stamina is greater than, what's our stamina value? Okay, we don't need this anymore. Our stamina is 6. Okay, so it's greater than 1. If it is greater than 1, then we can execute ability, and on ability start we'll get instigator, and we will reduce, wait, stamina. We don't have a reduced stamina yet, so we'll add it right this moment. So we got this interface. Let's go to our examples, blueprints, interface, ability tutorial, and let's do a reduce stamina, and it has an input of reduce amount, and it's a float. Okay, we don't need any output, and that's it. And on our character, we will do a reduce stamina event, which is an interface event. And this interface event will just take our stamina, and it will use our float value region. No, it will just make something different. We'll make another function which will be called float add, and it will go like this. So we got an input, which is a float passed by reference again, so this changes to a different shape, and then amount to add, which is a float, which is not passed by reference. It can be a straight value, and then we go like this, float plus float, and then we need also a max value and min value, or you know what, min will be always 0, so just max value, and this is also passed by reference. Then we'll do a clamp float between 0 and maximum, and we will just set by reference this value, and that's it. And a return note. And context sensitive again. Okay, so we got this float add, and now in our tutorial we can go here and we can do this float add, and we go saying that stamina, max stamina, and amount to add is this, and reduce or add stamina. And because stamina is not replicated but max stamina is replicated, we know that it's getting clamped properly, and if we run this event on server and client, we should end up with the same results. And if the client cheats his results and adds himself some stamina, it doesn't matter because the server value is authoritative and more important. So we just do get instigator and reduce stamina event, which is actually let's go here and change it from reduce to modify, because this can be a positive value or a negative value. So reduce stamina, promote to value, stamina cost, and can execute is also stamina cost, and stamina cost after compilation is just 1. So now that we start the ability, we will reduce stamina by 1 on each attack. So let's see. And we didn't. Let's think. Oh, okay, yeah, because our reduced stamina cost is stamina cost times -1. Yeah, this is a cost. This is how you reduce it. So now it will cost us 1 stamina to do an attack. So if we are sprinting and we want to attack now, we can't. But now we can, now we can, and now we can. Okay. What else should we do here? We can also get components directly. So we can do like this, get component by class. And it's keeping your logic, functions, and events inside components makes it a lot easier to work with, because you don't need to use interface when you have a component. For example, I can get my AGR animation master component, and from here I can do a setup, aim offset, and I can do event setup, turn rotation, and we could do it like this. It's 360, 95, but this is no longer turn at angle, rotation at angle. It's just character desired rotation, and that's it. And we can also specify that our aim offset tag is now aim at instead of look at, that our aim speed is 10 instead of 6, and it's a camera aim based, and aim clamp is nearest instead of left or right. So let's check if this works. Okay, yeah, so now I'm turning and I am actually aiming, which looks ridiculous at some angles, while attacking. Okay, So let's go back here. Let's ignore this aim offset thing. But let's change this rotation type. And now we can do this on ability end. Oh. 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. And at all those, I can change it to Z rotation at angle, Z rotation at angle, and Z rotation at angle. So this way, I am turning constantly when I am attacking. However, when I stop attacking, I am using an aim offset, and I will stick my feet in place a bit while I'm looking around. And yeah, inside here we can also change that our aim angle will be 135 once again. That's a very nice value. And we can even do the start turning value also at 135. No, it's maybe too much. 115. And we can do same here, saying 115. Okay, connect, and now format. And we got an ability. And by the way, we also have a footstep sound while we attacking, which is proper, and we have particle effect, which is proper for the surface that we are attacking on, which is pretty cool. On attack and attack end, which is generated automatically. So, okay, we are reducing stamina, but our attack doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't have, it doesn't mean anything that we are attacking. It doesn't change anything. So what we will do, we'll actually make an example. We're going to blueprints, and we'll just make a, yeah, we can just make it here, whatever. We'll make a character, and it will be a dummy. Our dummy character will be a mesh, which is mannequin. Honestly, any of them, minus 88, minus 90, compile, save, and what he does is that on any damage that he receives, he does a print string. No, he will do a print text, and we'll do a format text, and we'll do this like this. Damage 0 instigated by 1 okay, 2 spaces dash 2 spaces damage causer. Okay, and that's it. We don't care about the damage type for now. So damage instigated damage causer, and that's it. And they will convert automatically to show their names. So this is what he will do. He will just print that he received damage, and we just make sure that he receives damage. Can be damaged, yes. And capsule component, we want capsule component not to be pound, but we want to just block all. Just block everything. No way, we want to make it custom because we don't want to block camera. We ignore camera. So yeah, we just do this, and we can set some of those dummies here, and they can be in T-pose. We don't really mind. Okay, we need one for now. So if we run to this guy and we'll attack him, nothing will happen. Well, okay, this will happen because our weapon has collision and shouldn't have. So let's go here, change this collision type from block all dynamic to custom, and this is our word dynamic. It might be. So let's do like this. Definitely overlap, camera, ignore, visibility, ignore, and overlap anything that you might want to attack. Okay, yeah, that's it. Now we shouldn't push anyone with this sword. Okay, yeah, now it overlaps. So, oh, but I guess that our pawn doesn't. Yeah, so this guy gets pushed by our actual mesh. So what we need to do is go into here where we'll change that, and pawn, it will, well, it cannot ignore. You know, let's just change it back to what it was. So it was like this. So our pawn mesh, it should ignore pawn, yes. Physics, okay, so it is ignoring pawn, and this is a pawn. So now we should not be able to push this guy. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'll just leave him as like this, and we're not dealing any damage to him. So let's change that. Let's go into our timeline and let's make another task. And this task will be collision. So we can do collision sweep, collision query, raycast query, or okay, so or set collision channels responses. Okay, so let's do a collision query first. Just a collision query. So this is a basically single frame. It might be longer than a single frame, but it's a single frame that we just do. Okay, yeah, I need to set it up. I get it. Oh, and we don't need this dummy anymore to be opened. We don't need this. Let's go back here. So in this query, we need to set up a few things. First of all, we need to set up a shape. So it can be a box, capsule, cone, or sphere. Most of the times you'll be using sphere or cone. Let's use a cone. If you now open this cone, you get information on the cone, and you actually have a preview of how this cone will look like, but this is not a very accurate shape because the cone is actually more, you know, like this. But if you change the cone into 2D query, it will show properly the actual shape of this query. So let's make it longer, like 200. Let's make it FOV 90. I think that's about right. I could maybe even bigger. Yeah, like 125 or something like that. Length 200. And now we can also do a query location. Self is the component. The component is in the center of the actor, so it's exactly here, but you can also do an instigator, target actor, camera, or specific location. You can do camera, and it will be a query from the camera. This is very useful if you are running a first-person perspective game. Then it will just take the owner's controller, camera manager, and find for the active camera component, and it will automatically on that camera component run this query. But let's just do it on self right now. You can do a offset. You can run it higher or lower. Let's just run it where it is, and you can also rotate it in any angle. So the most useful one would be probably X, because if you have cuts that are, you know, vertical, you could make them actually do a query that is as should be per this attack. So I could make it like this, and yeah, that will be pretty precise. Let's do one more thing. Let's go into our able character, and on begin play, in the get controller setup debug mode, we'll do another debug mode, and we'll do a show call ability. Okay, set draw collision queries. No, not get. Set draw collision queries, enable true, and this is in our debug. Okay, thank you. And now we will, when we do a query in our game, we'll actually see it like we should see it in here. So, oh, okay, we have to set it up completely or it will fail compiling. So let's go back here into our setup. We can specify a socket, but the socket is a socket on an actor, I think, but I am not sure, that if we have a character, it will take the mesh socket instead of the actor socket, but I am not really sure if it works like this. If it was, that would be nice, because we could, for example, do always queries from the head, or always queries from the chest, so spine tree, or we could do queries from the hand, or whatever, and take the rotation of the actor itself. We need to add a collision channel, and you can see that we have both channels and object types. So we can use visibility or camera, or we can use object type, any of those. So for example, we only want to query pawn, destructibles, and that's it. Only pawn and destructibles. Async query, we don't need to do async query because this is a single frame query and it's very light, so there's no need to do that. And we can fire an event when this query happens, but we don't need that as well. And I already showed how to use events. And filter, we can add a filter that is saying that filter by class, and we can say filter instigator owner. So yeah, filter instigator, filter owner, because we might catch ourselves in the query and we don't want to do that. So it's like a ignore self. And we might want to filter what else? Yeah, okay, yeah. We can also do a custom filter if we want to, but we don't need that right now. And copy to context means that whatever we hit with this query and it goes through our filters, we will copy as target. So from our context, we can get target actors, and target actors by default is empty. However, when we do queries, we are adding actors to those targets, and we can do some more stuff. So allow duplicates means that in our array, multiple times we can add single target. So we could, for example, make one query and then another sphere query, because our ability has a, I don't know, 2 explosions or something. And if someone is catched by both of them, he will be mentioned in the query twice. But we don't want to allow duplicates, and if we have multiple queries, and for example want to do a query, deal damage, do a query, deal damage, do a query, deal damage, then we would clear our query each time we do it, because we don't want to deal damage to the previous query actors. So we have only one query, so we can do that or not, it doesn't really matter at all. Start time is the time where we put it by hand. And let's do a play pause, and let's see. Okay, we should do it like here, I guess. So 0.22. And targets is self, it's just like a self-executed one. So you use a target that is different, like for example target actor, when you run different tasks, because you can do, for example, ability, and playability can allow you to run an ability on someone. So for example, your poison arrow could add poison stacks to a target, and then you would select this ability that is the poison passive, and you would do like the owner of this ability is the owner, the instigator is something, but the target is target actor. And that would take context from the query or from a custom query or whatever you've done, and it would apply this ability to whatever actors you had in your query. Let's focus now on just dealing damage to actors that are caught up in this angle. So let's add another task and let's type damage, and we have an apply damage, just like that. And we can put apply damage basically anywhere behind this task, or even not if we do one simple trick, but let's just put it somewhere around here, like 0.3, and it will not execute sooner than that, but it can execute like if I do it here, it will execute at this time, doesn't matter that the query was here. But if I put it here, you can force it to execute here as well, and I will show you how to do that. And now apply damage, it will be on client and server. That doesn't really matter, we can just run it on the server, but we'll run it on client and server so that the client side get notification of the damage, and we can do this you know, debug print string. Damage class is just damage type, so it's just damage type. Damage targets, you can specify what's the damage targets, but we want target actors, and target actors are copied from the collision query. So this is a link directly to whatever we have in the context copied by the collision query right now. So this will trigger a slide after this collision query, but it is so close to it that it might not get any targets at the time that it triggers. So to do that, you have to right click this and do dependency, and the dependency is collision query. And now once you have this dependency, you can see it here, and you can click it, and you can go to this task, and you know that this is dependent on this. And what it means that this will not execute unless this finish execution. So if this takes one frame, this can execute on the another frame, the next one. But if this for any reason takes 2 frames, because for example we are using a sync query and they are out of sync, yeah. So if you do a sync query, you can see that it actually takes 0.05 seconds to execute. But if it's a single frame, we can just do it also single frame just on the next frame. 0.23. So it is now dependent on this task, so this will always execute before this happens. And the damage amount that we're dealing is just 1, and we can specify this damage here, but we can also do it differently. We could, for example, go into our interface, ability, tutorial interface, and we could go into get damage. And our get damage function would have 2 outputs. One that would be base damage, additional damage, and we could also do a crit chance. Oh, that will be fine. Float, and a float. And yeah, that's it. Let's go here. Let's implement this get damage, and let's make this base damage, I don't know, 1, additional damage 3, and crit chance 0.1, so 10%. Let's make it bigger, 0.2. Okay, so now We want to change this damage. We don't want it to be just one. We want it to be, applied automatically. But we don't have here a plus button like here to do a binding. That's odd, right? Because the binding is not necessary, because calculating damage is global. You can't do a binding per damage task, because you can have multiple damage tasks. Unfortunately, all of them, without getting a binding, have to use the same function. And you go here into functions, override, and you just type damage, and you have calculate damage for actor. So what it does, it takes an actor, which is the target from the context, or you can get directly context information, so you can get instigator. You can have a event name, so if you have an event name, you go into this damage and you should have, here. So you can identify your multiple applied damage by this. So this is just a sort damage. And we can read this value, or we can just ignore it because we don't have any other ones. But let's do this. Let's do a switch on the name. Let's add a name and let's make it sort damage. And now on default, what it returns is the base damage. But if it's the sort damage, then we'll get instigator, get damage, message. And from this get damage message, we will do a very simple calculation. We will just add base damage, additional float, and then do random bool with weight. So basically, this random bool with weight means that you take a value of 0 to 1, and it treats it as a percentage to get a true. So now return node, you do a select, and if it is true, then it's a critical hit, so you do a float times float 2, and if false, it's just this value. That's it. And connect this, and now we are calculating damage for this specific actor. And we could also take these actors, for example, I don't know, like a statistics component, get his armor or damage reduction or any other value that would also be needed for this calculation of damage. And we would now deduct this armor value from the damage that we have. So that's why you have this reference. So you can get component by class, or you can just run interface events on it directly. But we don't need that. We don't care what's the actor. We will always deal the same damage. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. Let's test it out. Okay, we can see the query. The query goes from the capsule. We can see that he got 4 damage and instigated by none, damage causer, able character. Okay. So we got a damage causer properly, but there is no instigator set up for this damage. And this is just how able ability is set up, and I don't think we can change that. We can do this. No, I don't think we have any saying in that. Okay, and now in verbose we can see that executing damage calculation for 0 targets. And now we can see that applying 4 damage to dummy 2. And we have our debug string, and we also see that on task and call task result successful. Okay, so this works. And let's run it on dedicated server. And it works. Server says damage 4. And we can see that on our client We also get information that we are calculating damage for one target, and we get the information on what's the damage. By the way, we haven't scored a single critical hit. That's terrible. 4, 4, 8. Okay, so it works. So we just got a very small chance, but it works. So we got a critical hit right there. Okay, so we're reducing stamina, we're applying damage, we're having a query. Let's check other types of queries. So we can do this query, but we can also do a collision sweep. And the sweep is different from a query, that it has a start and stop. So we could make it gather more targets as we turn, gather more targets as we, do something. Let's do a shape. And you can notice now that on a sweep we do not have a cone. And honestly, cone is just a masked sphere. So if you're doing a 3D cone, what you should do, you just take a sphere and then you just take all actors that you hit with the sphere, and then you just take dot product to every one of them, and based on that dot product you know the angle in any direction from the source that you have to those actors. So you could do a custom collision sweep or custom collision query, like here you could do oh, I can't do a custom one. Oh, that's terrible. But I can take a target for an ability from Blackboard, which is pretty cool. And then I specify the key channel. Okay, no, that's cool. None. Yeah, so this is good and bad at the same time. I'm not using them too much, to be honest, and yeah, I rather run a custom collision instead of that, or we can do our very precise queries, what we'll do in a second. So instead of doing that, we could add a custom custom event, and we could make, or we can make it simpler, but we'll use this, and then I will show how it's actually better to be done. So we can go and say that on server or clients and server, we want to do a start trace, and we can do another custom event, and on client and server do a stop trace. Okay, and now we can go into our graph, we can go into function, we can go into on custom event, and on our event we can do switch, and on default nothing, and we can do 2 pins, one that is start trace and end trace, and we can get instigator, and we can get component by class, and this would be the combat component right now, and we do a setup okay, we're gonna have to do a very small setup here first. So for our sound component UI, we don't have combat component here at all. So let's do a combat component, and we'll do a setup authority setup register collision mesh. This is one of the most important things. So Register by name. The name of the mesh is sort. The component is our sort component. Okay. Then from this master component we do a setup, activate collider, and the key of this collider is sort and clear all others. And then we do a setup, um, authority collision preset, and we do a start and stop. Let's go into our sort. Let's open him up, and we need to do a start, and we need a stop. Okay, so you got start and stop, and we can go here and say that it's start and stop. Melee collision precision will be 20, and traces per second will be 30 FPS. Complex visibility, trace only on server. No, let's do it on client as well because we want to see it. Setup. Okay, so this was the collision preset. We're not using the combo system, so we don't need. Okay, ignore list. No, we don't need it as a variable. Able character, and it will get our attached actors, and any attached actors will be ignored, and our class, player character class, will be ignored. Do we have anything else? Setup, default attacks, no. Register collision mesh, no. Try buffer input, we don't need that. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so this is the full setup of the combat component. Okay, it will be at the very bottom, and format graph. Thank you. So we've done that, and now we can actually register. Let's go here and trace. So what we're doing is begin collision test event and end collision test. Okay, that's simple as that. So get component by class, begin collision test, finish collision test. So on start trace you begin, on end trace you end, and that's it. And now that you will play. Oh, okay, we also need to seed our collision tests. So in our debug, go into debug true. Oh, come on. You can do a small delay or something, it should work. Okay, yeah. So are we doing slow-mo polit 1? Are we doing, wait. Okay, I'm on dedicated server. I can do a slow-mo. I can't do cheats. I can do on offline. So slow-mo polit 1, and let's see. Yeah, we're doing a precise collision right now on ability while turning, while doing whatever we need. Okay, so yeah, we're doing this precise tracing now, and we're doing this precise tracing um, you know, on our combat component, not in our attack ability. And our damage would be also dealt in the combat component itself. How we can also do that is that we can ignore this custom event and this custom event and just don't have them. And this will just stop working, so it doesn't matter. I don't have to remove that. And we could just go into our animation and we can add a notification here, because all notifications will be playing as they should. So I could, for example, do all this activate weapon, all this setup that I've done in the character. I could basically do it in here. So I can go here, do a add notification, and it will be HR notification state trace hit. So I can now do a precise, like I want to start here. Okay. I want to end here. Okay. And now I can just play this ability. And I will do this precise hitting exactly where I want it. Yeah, and if I don't want to use this precise hitting, all I have to do is just not do this setup, and it will be completely ignored. So it's up to you. Like, I created this entire combat component just for this purpose. I've added all this input buffer and combo attacks as an example how you can do it within blueprints. But how I usually do actual games is I set up all attacks as abilities. I don't do them differently. I always use able, but I am doing collision queries not as collision queries but as actual traces from weapon in any game where precision of hits are actually important. But yeah, let's just leave it as is. Let's just add that, and let's just let's just leave them both, but let's just go into debug false. We don't need to see those precise traces, we want to see just this. Okay, so now we want to make a combo out of it, because what we've done, we made our ability cost something, we made it calculate custom damage based on our character, we made a check if the ability can even be executed. It is an active ability, so it is colliding with other active abilities, so on our input we don't really have to do anything else than this, which is absolutely amazing. That's why I love this ability component. And no other checks, nothing, just this. So what we want to do now is make multiple attacks, and we don't want to run through this logic again, because that would take us hours to just set up a single combo. So now we'll go into our examples and we'll do able ability blueprint, but our parent class is attack template. Okay, and it will be a attack a1. Okay, and we'll open our attack a1, and we don't have any tasks, so we have to go to our attack template, we have to go to timeline, and we want to have this being an inheritable, we want this to be inheritable, and we want this to be inheritable. Save, and let's see again. Okay, this is the attack template, and this is the attack one. So I think I have to recreate it. Let's do it again. Able ability, Attack template, yes. A attack A. I don't know why this still exists. I just deleted that. Yes. Okay, let's go here. Okay, now we have this inherited stuff, and once I created this A attack A, I get copied all the setup that I have done previously, and all I have to do is just specify another montage. So I have this, and if I go into graph, you can see that um, I'm running all the functions that I have in our template. I don't see anything on the graph, but everything is executing. And if we go into class settings, no, into class default, I can see that I have this stamina cost default value, and I can, for example, change it. So the first attack will have stamina cost 1, the second will have 2, and the third one will have 3. And I can change some values, and I cannot change some other values. So let's go here. This is the attack A. Everything is fine. This is the collision query. We're doing this calculation of damage. Everything is fine. No more setup. Let's now make a duplicate of this attack A, and let's make it attack A2. Why not? And by the way, save everything. And let's make fix up redirection because something got broken. Yeah, like the A1 still exists for some reason, and it's not unloaded from memory. Okay, never mind. So A and A2. So attack A2 will have an attack A2, obviously. And attack A2 is a different. Okay, so we want this collision to be a bit later and our applied damage to be a bit later as well. And we want also to change our graph default stamina cost to compile save. And we also might have, for example, damage multiplier or something like that that we would also apply to the damage. And you know what? We should actually do that. So let's go back to our attack template. Let's go to our graph. Let's add a variable. This variable will be cause additional damage. And yes, they are exposed. And they are, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, because they cannot be changed on runtime anyway. Not in this particular ability. In order to change runtime elements of an ability, you have to change this instance property from default to new instance or new instance replicated, but I will cover that later, so don't worry about it. Running it as default makes sure that Able runs as similar to gameplay ability systems or the GAS as it possibly can. So it's running on your local client first, then it is replicating to the server. Server is making his own checks, but everyone has the same instance value of every ability, and the abilities are unable to get edited. So they work as you made them, and they will never ever do anything else. And you cannot change any value at runtime, but this is fine for us. So additional damage default is 0. Yeah, thank you. So let's go here now, and we have now additional damage, and this attack 2, additional damage is 1. And let's go back to our template. Let's go into graph, and let's go into calculate damage, and we will also get another pin, and we will add our additional damage. Compile save. Okay, and our additional damage now is 1. And we're not changing anything else. Oh, we have to change something. We have to resize. Okay, we now resize it, and the entire ability is taking as long as the animation. And we can have the stamina cost here and additional damage here in our default settings. Okay, and let's make the third attack, which will be just a duplicate again and make it A3. Amazing. Let's call it attack A3. And let's now say that we need to resize again, and let's see it. Okay, this needs to have a query a lot later. Okay, not that much later. Okay, yeah, this is perfect, and just make it a bit later. So let's say here, and save, and let's make it stamina cost 3 and additional damage 5 or something like that. So it's, you know, you want to finish the combo because the last damage is it's the biggest one. Okay, and now what else do we want to do? Oh yes, branching. Okay, so this template need another task, and this task is called branch. And this is one of the coolest logic you can get, because you can do branches. So for example, you have an ability that says pick up item. So you pick up item, and then inside this ability of pick up item, and it can be a passive one, you have a branch saying that is this item a weapon, and then you go into pick up weapon, and inside pick up weapon it says that okay, you picked up a weapon. Do you have a weapon equipped? No, you don't have a weapon equipped. Okay, so now run ability equip weapon from this weapon data table or something. So you can do multiple, you know, checks that goes checking if you can swap from one ability to another or just run to another ability. So let's go here and let's just put it anywhere really. Ability is none. The condition for this ability is, okay, we need an input here. So let's go into project settings, let's go into inputs, and let's make it, okay, we have a fire event, so let's lose that. Instead of directly mouse button, it is now an input event fire. So let's compile save, and let's go here, and we're saying that we want to branch, well, always custom or on input. Custom, well, it's custom, so you can make your own event, but we want to do it on input, and this input is saying fire, right? I think this is what we call it. Yeah, just fire. So once we hit fire, it will branch as long as it's inside here somewhere. So we can also say must be recently pressed. So what it's checking if this input is pressed, but it's not checking if we pressed it recently, so it doesn't check if it was released. If we check must be, okay, I will just show it, it will be easier. So let's set up this branching. So attack A will, oh okay, forgot, this need to be inheritable obviously. And copy targets on branch, no, branch on task end, no, must pass all conditions. We have only one condition, so why not? And negate is, well, obviously negate of whatever we input here. So for example, we can say not have an input, but we already covered that in our sprinting, where we have a negate of not getting above certain speed. Okay, so let's go here and let's go into our attack A. And where is our why this didn't show yet? Yeah, I know it's valid. I don't show cost. Okay, let's try just reopening the project. Okay, no, don't reopen anything. Or maybe I should. Oh, yeah, just go into examples, abilities, and now let's save everything. Okay, invalid data, that's going to be interesting. So let's go into this. Okay, I guess there is some problems with editing template ability, but actually it will be so easy to recreate that I can skip that and I can just work on the template a bit more and say that on input fire must. Okay, yeah, that's just this. There's nothing more I need to do. And now we'll do a copy, which is attack A1, which is attack A, and this stays as it was, and this goes into attack B that we don't have yet. So let's do an attack A2, and let's make attack A3. So attack A2 will have this resize. Um, view. Where was it? I wanted to inside the query. Why it's not showing? Come on, reset. Okay, so somewhere around here. Okay, just save it. And that's it. That's the attack 2. Attack 1 now can branch into attack 2. Save it. And now attack 3 is A3. Okay, and this will be here, and this will be here, and this will be none. Okay, and resize. Okay. Okay, something like that. So let's see again. Attack 1 branches properly to attack 2. Yes. Attack 2 branches properly to attack 3. Now it does. Okay. And that's it. So now, because all those branches, they don't require re-input, I can just hold mouse button and I will continue attacks. Oh no, not really. Pound input must be recently passed. No, it doesn't have to be recently passed. And oh no, we don't need this. And yeah, that's it. That should work. Ability A1, ability A2. Of course it's not. Still using attack template instead of attack 1. So I'm using the template and not the attack chain that I should. And now I'm holding the mouse button and he will proceed with those attacks and he should deal 6 damage, 4 damage and 4 damage. Okay, so let's say that attack 1 cost 1 stamina, or let's say it costs 2 stamina, additional damage is 2, attack 2 cost 3 stamina, additional damage is 3, and attack 3 cost 4 and 4. Okay, this will be 2 and 2, and this will be 3 and even 5, and first one will be 1 and 1. Okay, so just save everything, and now we have those branches, and if I hold mouse button while attacking, I will continue those attacks until I finish the entire chain, because I don't have any branch in the last attack, so I am holding, I'm doing this entire chain, and I am actually reducing properly stamina with each attack. Okay, yeah, seems about right. Okay, and now we can go into this ability template, and we can say that this branch must be recently pressed. So now that and this should update on every one of them. No, okay, just do it by hand. It's not that much work, honestly, and this one doesn't require anything. So now those abilities requires to actually press the button again. So I am clicking, holding, nothing happens, but I'm clicking, 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 and it allows me to go from one attack to another only when it's proper time to do so. 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, but let's see if I am if I am holding anything else, any other inputs, will it break? No. Okay, so the reason I couldn't do multiple chains in a row is because I don't have enough stamina. So I am just doing attack 1, attack 2, or just attack 1 because I don't have stamina for attack 2. But if I wait for a bit more stamina, I can do attack 1, attack 2, and attack 3 will fail. So I can do attack 1 again. But if I have enough stamina, and I'm not sprinting and wasting it, I can do actually the full chain of attacks, and it all works. So there's that. Okay, there's some more work I will do on those attacks off screen, not to waste your time, like setting up particles, traces, stuff like that. And I will show you how it was set up, but you don't have to watch it, just see the result. Okay, so I've done few very small changes. To our dummy, I actually set up an anim graph and added animation master component so that it can read values for the core anim BP, and he's just chilling in the default pose. I haven't changed anything in the animation master component. On our damage, we get a print text, we get a play sound at location. We're just playing a random sword hit sound, and then we're playing a montage. There is a root motion montage that is pushing our character backwards. On all our attacks, we've added a play sound, and this can be a play sound 2D, so it just plays, or it can be an attached sound. So this is an attached sound, and it is attached to our hand R. And it's auto destroy on end. So that's it, and we don't have a fade out duration. So it's not fading unless the sound itself is managing that. And yeah, we haven't done anything else really. Oh, inside the animations themselves, if you look into animations, in those I've added a trail, and I've added some timed particles that came with the animation pack, which are really nice. And yeah, let's disable the debug. Okay, and we can, yeah, we can see the drop as well. Why not? And let's go here, play, and see what we ended up with. So right now our character can run, he can sprint, and he's running different animations on sprinting and strafe walking. He has stamina that he can use as a resource for both sprinting and attacking. While attacking, he's constantly turning towards the enemy that you have picked. But anyway, we have a character that has a resource. He's running, he's jumping, he's sprinting, and he can attack his opponents and do a 3-hit combo. And deal damage, and this damage can get a critical hit, and it's based on the character statistics, and it's based on the ability themselves. And it plays sounds, plays particles, branches, do collision checks, and yeah, this is the basics for any attacks. So thanks for listening, and see you guys soon.